Hello! Welcome to, yes, another video where a booktuber is reading a celebrity's favorite books. For years now, I've kind of had it in the back of my mind that I really wanted to try reading East of Eden by John Steinbeck because Kristen Stewart has said on multiple occasions that it's her favorite book. I love Kristen Stewart. I would do anything she told me to do. So I just wanted to read her favorite book. That's something I've always kind of thought about doing. And with the kind of explosion of booktube videos where people read a celebrity's favorite book list, I thought, why not turn it into an entire reading vlog where I read all of Kristen Stewart's favorite books. So that's what we're going to do today. I have done a deep dive on the internet. I've collected all of the supposed favorite books of Kristen Stewart. I think that most of these books are sourced from fairly older interviews, so I would be curious if there is a recent interview where she talks about her favorite books. But these are the ones that she has publicly said are books that she really likes or books that are favorites of hers. So that list is, as I already said, East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I think that this is her ultimate favorite book. I know that she's talked about this as her favorite book in more than one interview. We also have the book Cannery Row by John Steinbeck as well. So clearly a big Steinbeck fan. Hot Water Music by Charles Bukowski is also a cited favorite book of hers. Then we've also got Just Kids by Patti Smith, which is a memoir that I've heard really good things about, and that's another one that has kind of been on my list or on my radar as something I might want to read just because I've heard really positive things from other people that people have really liked that book. We also have The Stranger by Albert Camus, pretty classic French philosophical novel. I was able to track down a couple references that said she was a big fan of Kurt Vonnegut, but none of the sources included a specific title. So I have the general recommendation of Kurt Vonnegut. I've decided to read Breakfast of Champions, which is just a book that I think is a pretty popular, well-known Kurt Vonnegut novel. So figured that one would be fine. It's pretty short, so I thought that that would be a safe choice. And then there are two more books that Kristen has cited as favorites of hers, but I will present them with the caveat that she is in the film adaptations of those books. So it's possible that she mentioned them as favorites of hers because she was in them or, in doing press for them or something. But those books are going to be Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, which I have actually read before. This is a really popular YA book, but I have been wanting to reread it for a long time, so this is the perfect opportunity for me to do so. And then the other book adaptation that she was in the movie for is On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which is another American classic. We've got a lot of those on this list. I just wanted to do a little introduction, explain what's going on, and say hello, and tell you guys what the books are going to be. But I don't think we need much more explanation. Those are Kristen Stewart's favorite books. I love Kristen Stewart. I'm going to be reading as many of them as I can and vlogging that experience for you guys. And that's pretty much it. So let's get into it. Hello, guys. I am reading Kristen Stewart this week. I have started out with Breakfast of Champions, which I have some mixed feelings about. I will just say that I really do like Kurt Vonnegut's writing. I think that he writes in a way that's just unusual. It's interesting, it's evocative, so I'm enjoying the writing style. So I would say that I'm enjoying the book. But when I tell you, I have no idea what's happening in it. I'm not following what is actually happening in this book, in the long run at all. No, absolutely no idea what's happening. I could not tell you. So this is either I'm not paying enough attention, the book is confusing, I'm not intelligent, I don't know, any combination of the above. So we're working on that. I also started reading East of Eden just because it's so long. I need to get on it. It's been a roller coaster for me so far. The lows, I would say that this book feels very anti-indigenous and racist. It's basically about settlers in early United States of America, and it's very much you know, the native people, they are inferior beings, and we are like the white, you know, people making our way, and like we're farming, we're making lives of ourselves and doing something great here. We're gonna make this land good. And it's like, kill me. Don't love that. So I started out with a negative impression of this book. However, I will say that John Steinbeck also, good writer. Like, the man can write some sentences, and I have found that I've been actually like very immersed in the book as it goes along, and I am enjoying aspects of it that involve descriptive writing. Although again, I do find this book to be confusing. I had to look up like kind of a character list to get it all straight in my head, because it's been jumping around between several characters and like their stories are very different, and that did get a bit jumbled in my head. But I think that looking up like a list of the characters really helped me. And then today I've also started listening to Just Kids by Patti Smith, and I will say that like I have heard of this book. I've heard good things about it. I like don't know who Patti Smith is. I think she's a musician. Literally don't know a thing about her like professional life. So I think that maybe a lot of people would pick this book up knowing who she is or being a fan of her, I think. And I'm just reading it completely knowing nothing about her. I'm just gonna take this like as a memoir, and I just want to learn about her life. And again, really beautiful writing, really beautiful descriptive prose. I think that my main takeaway so far is that Kristen Stewart likes interesting words, interesting descriptions, like vibrant voices. She really likes a strong writing style and strings of sentences that can be beautifully emotionally evocative and like thought-provoking. I think that has been present in all three of these books so far. So I'll check in with you guys later. Bye. Hello everybody. Just wanted to check in and say it is the next day, and I am really invested in Just Kids. I'm really liking this book. I like the storytelling and the writing. It's capturing like an interesting moment in time. I really feel like the art scene in New York City in like the 60s and 70s, I think people kind of idealize that kind of moment in time. It does have like a certain quality to it that I understand the appeal. But yeah, I'm close to finishing it, and I think I'm probably just gonna fly through it to the end today. I think I'm hovering somewhere between like 3.5 and 4 stars. For me, it's really, really solid, really good. I'm liking it. I do feel like people that are gonna love this book have maybe slightly different interests than I do. It's not like perfectly my thing, but I'm really enjoying it, and I definitely appreciate it for what it is. I also wanted to point out this moment in the book that I noticed.
I was wearing a long rayon navy dress with white polka dots and a straw hat. It was my East of Eden outfit.
You hear that?
The table to
Her East of Eden outfit. And she references it again later in the book. She's like, my East of Eden dress. Coincidence? I think not. Oh, and I wanted to say that last night I watched The Runaways with a friend, so I think I'm gonna try to watch as many Kristen Stewart movies as I possibly can this week, because I've seen a lot of them, but there's a lot that I have not seen. So we watched The Runaways, which I had never seen. It's about like Joan Jett and Cherie Currie and the forming of the band The Runaways, which I honestly knew like nothing about. For me, the movie was like fine. It was okay. Kristen Stewart specifically in that movie, like A+. She looks so cool. Like, she plays Joan Jett. She's just awesome. Peak aesthetic. Loved it. Also, like, very, very gay. So, hello. I would give it an A for Kristen Stewart. Maybe like a C+, B- for like the movie. I just thought it was fine, but I liked it. Again, I feel like music history and like learning about cool artists and musicians maybe isn't like super my vibe, but I am learning that it is Kristen Stewart's vibe. Hello everybody. I did wrap up my first book, which was Just Kids, and I am here to say that I have read another book since then. I have finished Breakfast of Champions. It was kind of downhill from my last check-in. It really just continued to not make sense to me, and I don't know, it might have been that I started to shut down a little bit and I stopped caring. I think that book follows a character that Kurt Vonnegut has written about in previous books, and I did not have that context. And it also just started to get so weird. I feel like a critical reader could definitely argue that the book is very satirical. However, personally, between reading a book where a white man says the N-word 50 times and a book where that doesn't happen, my preference is a book where that doesn't happen. And unfortunately, this was not the case. And I just, it just lost me. I really just wanted to stop reading it. The latter half of the book also, just every single male character is introduced and described by their specific penis size. I don't know why, but that's just a feature of this book. I don't know, it's the little details like that really just put me off this reading experience. So I gave this book 1.5 stars. To me, it just wasn't worth it. I didn't enjoy myself. I really just wanted to not be reading it when I was reading it, but I read it. I will say, in Kristen Stewart's defense, that this was the one book where she didn't specifically give this title. She just said that she was a Kurt Vonnegut fan, and I have read Kurt Vonnegut in the past and enjoyed him. I loved Slaughterhouse-Five. I think that was a great book. I actually think he's an extremely talented writer. But this book, just this specific reading experience, was not it for me. But whatever, what's done is done. I started reading Hot Water Music by Charles Bukowski. And I have to say, coming off of Breakfast of Champions and diving into that book, it felt like a lot of the same. And I didn't want to be reading that. So today I opened up my phone and this is what it looked like. So unfortunately, Hot Water Music has now been deleted from my phone. I do not have it from the library anymore, and I barely even got a dent in it. I just didn't want to read it. In further bad news, I also had to return East of Eden because it was also due back to my library, and I did not finish that book. I got, I think, 13% of the way through it. Yikes. I'm struggling. I mean, I have to say, I would never pick up this stack of books, at least not in this close succession, of my own volition. If I had been given this list of books and told this is somebody's favorite book list, I would be picturing a 23-year-old narcissistic white man. That's potentially what I would assume is the type of person who likes these books. So I don't know, I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge my wife very harshly, but at the same time, I kind of do. And on top of all that, I watched another Kristen Stewart movie, and I hated it. It was extremely bad. It was so boring. I fell asleep 15 minutes into it, so I had to go back and watch the rest of it once I woke up. It was boring. Kristen Stewart is a teenager in it when she filmed it, and she plays a teenage girl. I think she's 15 or 16. And her character is disabled, which I did not realize, wasn't expecting. It was a little off-putting. And then she also has a relationship with an adult man who works at her high school. I didn't want to watch that. So that sucks. Did I say the name of the movie? It was The Cake Eaters. Yeah, so unfortunately, just things have not been going my way. But on a positive note, I have now picked up what I consider to be the most promising and the best book on Kristen Stewart's favorite book list, which is Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. And I've already read this book. It's a childhood favorite of mine, and I haven't reread it in so long. I haven't read this book since I was a kid. And I'm rereading it, and I'm loving it. It's just everything that I remember, and this book is fantastic. So this book is going really well so far. This is honestly the only book that I think I'm actually gonna love out of this list. But let's just keep trucking away at it. Hello, everybody. As far as my week is going, I just went on a little foraging adventure yesterday. It didn't turn out super great. We got attacked by a swarm of wasps, and the only thing were some puffballs, which were fun to find, but they were about the size of like an extra strength Tylenol. So yep. Tonight I'm going to this interactive Van Gogh exhibit, which I'm really excited about. So I will share some clips with you guys and check back in with you when I read more Kristen Stewart books and maybe watch a Kristen Stewart movie that isn't awful. I really hope that happens. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never will.
Hey guys, really quick update. I read 2 more books. I finished reading Speak No surprise. I knew I was gonna love that book. I love a YA contemporary, especially a slice of life contemporary. I love a book that deals with trauma. It was so good. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I consider it to be a modern classic, honestly. I do feel like it's kind of like the odd one out on this list. It might be because Kristen Stewart was in the movie that was based on the book. So I don't know. Maybe this probably wouldn't be on her favorite books list if she hadn't been in that movie. But oh well, it was really great. And then I read The Stranger by Albert Camus, and I had a pretty good time with that book. To me, that's a book that I think should be taught more in schools. I think it is taught in schools, but I never read it for school, and I think that that's a book that actually like could have done really well for me in school because it's short. It's really easy to read. Like the language is pretty basic and simple. It's easy to understand and follow. It's a truly, like, I think a very accessible text, but there is a lot that you could unpack and just have discussions about, and I wish that maybe I had somebody that I could have had discussions about, because the book is so simple that I think if you're not really pushing yourself to examine it and unpack it, that it's gonna be a more simplistic reading experience. I gave it 3 stars. For me, I enjoyed it, and it definitely, I had several things just to think about and mull around in my head after I finished it. I think it is a good book. It's really well done and really fascinating. I wouldn't call it a new favorite or anything, but in terms of like a literary classic, I was a fan of it. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I'm gonna come back to Hot Water Music or East of Eden. Part of the reason is because the holds list at my library for both of those books is kind of long. So basically I would have to extend this reading vlog into like weeks in the future, and I just don't want to do that. But also, honestly, I don't really want to read those books. Like, I started them, I got a taste of them, and at least not right now, I don't really want to continue with them. I do have another Steinbeck on my TBR, so I'm going to be starting Cannery Row next. So I should be able to get a healthy dose of Steinbeck from Cannery Row, and then after that I have On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which I'm not super excited about. But that's it, just those 2 books left. So far so good. We are in the home stretch. Hello, I have finished another book. I finished reading Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. I quite liked it. I thought it was just kind of like a cozy read. Like, it was just really lovely. It follows basically just a lot of people in this specific town. It's pretty much like drawing a portrait of a community. It was almost kind of just like reading short stories. The writing was beautiful. I do think John Steinbeck is just a really great descriptive writer, and that was a lot of this book, which I really liked. There were some situations that were kind of funny. There were others that were kind of sad and heartbreaking. There were others that were like almost scary, like really like chilling moments. So I thought it was a good balance of emotions. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was a nice read. So now the only thing left on my TBR is On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which I have started. I actually just arrived here in this house where I am dog sitting for the entire month. So I'm spending the next month like alone with a dog, and he takes very long, slow walks because he's an old man, so he walks really slowly. And I have found that walking with him is pretty much so far the only thing that can get me to read on the road. I put the audiobook on and there's really nothing to distract me. Unlike being here, if I'm at the house, I have no motivation to read. On the road, I've been reading other books, but On the Road is just, to me, not great so far. I don't dislike it, but I'm not getting much out of it. There's no real point to it so far. It's just this character, and he's traveling and meeting a bunch of people and doing a bunch of different things, and it just is all it's very meandering, it's very detailed, but so many inconsequential, unrelated details that just, I don't know, meh. I'm not super invested in this character or his life really at all. I'm a little unclear. I think that like this is technically fiction, but I've read that it's like basically based on true events, but I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate. I just don't really find it that interesting so far. I do think starting that book especially, and like having read Cannery Row, the beginning of East of Eden, Just Kids, even The Stranger to an extent, I definitely feel a theme in these books that I feel like Kristen Stewart, she's not really about like a plot or like a story driven book. She really likes atmospheres, creating sense of place, having the journey of a book be an artistic one or like a philosophical, like thought based plot versus like things are actually happening and like there's a main conflict of the story, because most of these books are not really like that. They're basically like, here's a section of a person's life or a section of time about a certain place and like just all the different things that happened, and a lot of them have very like meditative qualities. The Stranger definitely was like plot based, but it's a very philosophical novel, so a lot of things are kind of like metaphorical and like jumping off points as like think pieces. I do feel like for me, that's not like totally my cup of tea exactly when it comes to reading, but I respect it. Like I definitely get what she's into, and I totally understand why she likes books like this. And I think it's interesting. I feel like not a lot of people tend to gravitate towards stories like that. That's kind of my takeaway from this. I hope to finish On the Road. I will check back in with you then, but we'll see how it goes. I also have been watching a lot of Kristen Stewart movies. I'm trying to marathon like all the ones I haven't seen, which is a lot of ones that aren't as good because I feel like I've seen most of her better movies. I watched The Messengers, which is a horror film. She plays a teenage girl. It was okay. There were aspects of it that I did find really enjoyable. However, it was not scary at all. The horror was so overwrought and it was just like very absurd. Not a super high quality film. There were multiple points of that movie where Kristen Stewart's stunt double was clearly shown. Like her face was just in the shot. And I don't understand how they thought they could get away with that. It was so jarring. I also watched this movie called What Just Happened, which I thought was truly awful. It was just so boring and so pointless and just so meaningless. It's basically about this film producer and it follows him and he's producing a film, and it's basically like, you know, he's just a man dealing with life, but he's a film producer. I found out that it's based off of a man's memoir, so it's like about a real guy who's a film producer, and he wrote a book and was like, oh, here's what it's like to be a Hollywood film producer. And then they turned it into a movie for some reason. It was honestly painful for me to watch. I was only able to get through it in like 10-minute chunks over the course of several days because I just could not sit down and watch it all. Kristen Stewart plays like his teenage daughter. She's in like 2 scenes. And then finally I watched all of the short films that she's in. So she's in a short film called Cutlass, which was really cute. It's on YouTube. I would recommend looking it up. It's like 15 minutes long, and it honestly was a very it was just a cute little movie, and Kristen Stewart was adorable. Like her character was just so energetic and just so cute and sweet, and I loved it. She's also in a short film which was very strange. It's like a 10-minute movie about the making of a non-existent like biopic about Coco Chanel. So like Kristen Stewart plays herself. It was weird, and like the plot made no sense. Like there was no point to the film at all. I think it was kind of like an ad for Chanel. But Kristen Stewart was really good in it. Like her acting was really fun because she's like playing her fake version of herself, and then she as herself is like playing Coco Chanel. So there were a lot of layers to it. She did a good job, and then it was really fun to see all the costumes. So worth it for that, but it made no sense. And then finally, Kristen Stewart has also directed 2 short films. So one of them is called Come Swim. She's not really in it. She does like a voiceover in it, but it's like about this guy, and there's just like a bunch of really dramatic, artistic water metaphors going on. It was fine, not really my thing. I didn't really like it that much, to be honest. And then she also directed this like short film called Crickets that's on Netflix. and she's in that one. It's like a weird little like quarantine short, and that one also, it was fine, but it didn't really do anything for me. So unfortunately the two films that she directed I didn't like as much, but that's okay. I love seeing her. I love that she is like getting into directing. I think that her film style is very metaphorical and like artsy, which I think can be done well, but it also sometimes can just like, it can be a little much. But honestly, I think that it kind of makes sense seeing her film style with the things that she's directed, like alongside her favorite books. I feel like she loves the idea of an artist. I think that she loves the idea of hidden meanings in things and like deeper layers to things. And you know, I'm happy for her. I think I'm gonna try to watch more Kristen Stewart movies before my next check-in. She's everywhere on social media for me right now because Spencer is being promoted and she's just doing a lot of press for that. And everybody is really excited for her. The movie looks really good from what we've seen. Everyone's talking about an Oscar, or at least be nominated for an Oscar. So I'm very excited. I'm happy for her. So I feel like this is the perfect time for me to be doing this vlog. And that's it. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye. Hey guys. I think this is the end of my Kristen Stewart vlog. I have watched 3 more movies since last checking in with you guys. I watched Personal Shopper, which was really good. It's the same director who directed The Clouds of Sils Maria, which is my favorite Kristen Stewart movie by far. It's so good. But Personal Shopper was also super, super fantastic. It's weirdly slow and quiet considering like the content of it. You would think it would be a more like exhilarating movie, but it's not. But I like that about it. It was really beautiful. Kristen did such a good job. It was just very good. And then I also watched 2 of her older movies when she was still a teenager. She's been in so many movies as a teen actor, and I have to say I really enjoy that like era for her. The movies for the most part are really bad, but I think she did a good job as a teen actor. I watched this movie called The Fierce People, and it's really weird. As a watching experience, I liked it. It was very interesting. It was very entertaining. There was like so much going on in that movie that it kept me watching, but the content was questionable. It uses indigenous cultures a lot in like a not a good way. It does have a very, very good cast though. And then I watched Cold Creek Manor, which is like this thriller sort of scary movie. I guess it wasn't scary. It was like absurdly bad. Like all of the tense moments were so funny. I truly haven't laughed at a movie as hard as I laughed at that movie in so long because the scary sequences were just so bad. It was an awful movie. Truly awful. Like deeply awful movie. But yeah, that's it for me and Kristen Stewart movies for now. So as far as book updates go, I have read to about the halfway point in On the Road, and I've decided to DNF it. My feelings about it never changed. I read halfway through the book, and I still just felt the same way the entire time, and I was like, you know what? I don't think the rest of the book is going to change my mind. I don't think I'm going to get anything else from this. I'm just going to stop here. I think I've read enough. And yeah, we're done. So I guess that's it. This was me reading like Kristen Stewart for a week. I hit most of her favorite books. Admittedly, I didn't finish all of them, but I think I did a pretty good job. We're calling it. We're done. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed my reading vlog of me reading like Kristen Stewart for a week. It was different than I was expecting, but I think it was an enlightening experience. It was fun for me to kind of have a Kristen Stewart themed week. I'm really curious what you think of this book list, what you think it says about Kristen Stewart. If you're a fan of any of these books or not a fan of any of these books, let me know. And I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. This was weird, but I had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.